Hi everyone. So I'm going to be explaining here what you need to do for your reflection assignment. So a reflection is, you know what a reflection is, where you look in a mirror, you see yourself back. And so when we reflect on our writing, what we're doing is we're saying, let me look at my own writing. Let me think about what I did. Just like looking at yourself in the mirror, like you look at this, you're writing in a mirror and you say, what's really going on with that, right? Let me think about my own writing and let me think about why I did the things that I did. Um, this is the only part of your writing project assignment that will receive a grade, in the sense that I will actually mark it whether it's whether you've done a good job or not. The other assignments, the rough draft and the final draft, you just got complete credit for turning those in. But what I want to see here in the reflection is you thinking about what you have done as you have moved from the rough draft to the final draft. So it says in here that you have to do 8 things. That seems like a lot. It's a lot of things. But the first 4 are easy. They're just cut and paste. So you see at number 1, I say copy exactly what I wrote under. Click here to see my comments. And so you know that part. You should have that part in your draft. And copy that and just paste it here under, paste it under number 1, right? So you don't need to do anything except go into the draft and find that. And then I want you to copy exactly what I wrote under. Click here for marking summary for your final draft. So that's be just another link right there at the top, the middle of the page. Just copy what I said there. Okay, so the first 2 are easy, just copy and paste. The third is easy as well. I want you to see the rubric categories for your rough draft. And remember your rubric categories, that's where I explain here. I've got an example over here to the left. You can see, thesis was a 3, this was a 2, metaphor is a 2. So just list those things, right? Whatever you had in those categories, just tell me what they are. Okay, so again, not a big thing there. And then for number 4, you want to do the same thing for your final draft. You want to say specifically what you got in those categories. And so partly what I'm looking for, and for you to understand, is the extent to which you have changed. What should be happening is, let's say you got a 2 or 3 in your thesis on your rough draft. Hopefully you got a 3 or 4 for your final draft, right? I want to see you moving up on those. So for the first 4, I'm just saying I just want to see what you did in your rough draft, what were my comments in the rough draft, and what were my comments in the rubric for my rough draft, and then what were my comments on your final draft, and then what were my comments on your rough draft and comments in your final draft. So just I want to see that for all those. So those first 4 are pretty easy. There's not much to really do there. That'll take you just a couple of minutes. Number 5 is where I'm going to want to see you actually thinking about some things. So if you received a 3 or less for your thesis, if you received a 4 or 5, you can just skip this and you can just say, I got a 4 or 5. But if you received a 3 or less for your thesis on your rough draft, I want you to either do one of the following 2 things. Either A, I want you to copy the thesis from your rough draft and the thesis from your final draft and explain why you made the changes that you did. Just a sentence or 2 explaining why you did what you did. So I want to see those 2 things next to each other. If you did not change your thesis, if you got a 3 or a less and you have the same thesis, I want you to just explain why you did not make those changes. So again, even that's still pretty simple. I just want you to copy from the 2 of them and then say, I made these changes. You told me that this thesis needed to be more specific. It needed to specifically mention metaphors or whatever it is I said. And that's why the original thesis didn't mention metaphors, but now in my final I did mention metaphors. And so that's why I made the changes that I did. Again, if you did not make any changes, just say, here's why I did not make the changes. I didn't understand I was supposed to make changes. I didn't know what to do. Whatever it is. I just completely forgot. Whatever it is to explain why you did not make any changes to your thesis. And then if you received a 3 or less for supports and metaphors, again, if you got a 4 or 5 for supports and metaphors, you can just skip this. Received a 3 or less for supports or metaphors on your rough draft. Either A, copy one body paragraph that you changed and explain why you made the changes that you did, right? So just one. Supports and metaphors, those should be going together, right? They're very similar components. And so I want to see what you did in one paragraph. I don't want to review the whole thing, but I want you to say, look, here's what I did. I had this one body paragraph. You had said that I wasn't good with my supports and my metaphors, so here's what I did to try and add more supports and to explain my metaphors in greater detail. So again, just copy one from each, right? And then a couple of sentences explaining what you did. However, if you did not make any changes to any of your body paragraphs, if you're turning pretty much the same essay in and you didn't make any changes, just tell me why that was the case, right? You don't need to provide any documentation. Just say, I did the exact same thing. 7, explain how you tried to make improvements in the organization, MLA format, and grammar categories. And again, if you received a 4 or 5 in that category, you can simply say it was already marked good or excellent. If you received a 3 or below but did not make any changes, explain why you did not. So just go through a sentence for each one. So for organization, I tried to do this, right? For MLA format, I tried to do this. For grammar, I tried to do this, right? So for things like grammar, you might say, I proofread it a couple times. I allowed somebody else to look at it, or I went to the writing center, or whatever it is that you did, right? MLA format, I went back and reviewed the video, and I tried to make my MLA formatting better, right? Organization, I talked to the professor and got some clarification on what organization is and tried to make those changes. So whatever it is that you did specifically to try and make those changes as you moved up, trying to move up. And then I want you to write a short paragraph discussing your overall experience. You can explain any confusion you had about the assignments and or my comments, and discuss how you tried to become less confused. You can discuss anything you did to try to improve and discuss whether or not anything helped. Discuss whether you are, I didn't put this on here, but go ahead and discuss if you are frustrated with moving up, if you felt like, I did some work, but I felt like I didn't really move up it that well, right? I did pretty much the same thing as I did before, and so I'm not sure I understand what I'm supposed to be doing with any of these projects. You are welcome to write about that. You can also, as I say here, discuss any technical or life problems you had completing this assignment. Broken computer, child care issues, having to work, anything that got in the way of you completing the assignment. So I just want to get a paragraph of your overall experience here, okay, what actually happened. So again, it seems like a lot, 8 things, but again, the first 4 are just copy and paste. Relatively straightforward, and these others are just a couple of sentences each, but I want you to be thinking about specifically what you did with these assignments. Be thinking about specifically what you changed and why, and then write this paragraph down here explaining your overall experience. By the way, also with number 8 here, you can discuss what you might do next. Right, that might be a good thing to discuss. So add that as well. How it is you might go. If you did not talk to me about your assignment, make sure to go ahead and say that you want to try and talk to me next time. So that's what we need to do for the reflection assignment. Again, as always, if you have any specific questions, make sure to contact me about those. But otherwise, go ahead and work through this and then get it submitted.